Internet, and welcome back to my series of film reviews. Last time we covered Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and now we made it to the next in a ludicrous lineup of live-action Disney remakes. And this time, it's a film that I grew up with, Lilo and Stitch. The original Lilo and Stitch from 2002 is one of my all-time favorites. I even remember seeing it in a theater when I was a little boy. Same with The Emperor's New Groove and Brother Bear. And I also grew up with Stitch the movie, which acted as a pilot for one of my favorite Disney Channel shows growing up, which was Lilo and Stitch the series. And let's face it, we can all agree that Lilo and Stitch the series was the Disney equivalent of Pokemon, seeing that our protagonists have to catch all 623 experiments, while scuffling with Captain Gantu and Experiment 625, a lazy sumbitch obsessed with making sandwiches. And because of this, he's later renamed Reuben in Leroy and Stitch, a television film which ended the main continuity of Lilo, Stitch, Nani, David, Jumba, Pleakley, and the rest of our Hawaiian experiment-catching crew. This series also crossed over with several other Disney Channel cartoons like Impossible, The Proud Family, Recess, and even American Dragon Jake Long. The 2000s had some kick-ass crossover cartoon specials, not only with Disney Channel, but the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour trilogy on Nickelodeon, which crossed over Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius with the Fairly Odd Parents. 90s and 2000s kids grew up with the absolute best forms of media, didn't they? Oh, imagine if Lilo and Stitch ever crossed over with Gravity Falls. That would have been so fucking epic! And then we have the direct-to-DVD sequel to the original 2002 film, Lilo and Stitch 2: Stitch Has a Glitch. And let me tell you, I was so obsessed with Lilo and Stitch back then that I had to watch every single movie and watch as many episodes of the Disney Channel series as I could, way before the dawn of Disney+. And now, Lilo and Stitch has gotten the live-action treatment. Does it hold up to the original? Let's find out. This remake was originally developed to be a Disney Plus original movie, same with Lady and the Tramp, Pinocchio, and Peter Pan and Wendy. But during the D23 Disney Expo in 2024, it shifted to a theatrical release along with our first look at a fully computer-generated Stitch. This look at Stitch looks so damned good, it's like the original 2002 film came to life before my very eyes. And the marketing for this film was exceptional. The equal amount of exceptional as the original back in 2002. The original voice of Stitch returns to wreak havoc once more on Hawaii after escaping captivity. We have a colorful cast of characters with Maya Kealoha as Lilo, a casting choice so perfect that it really was like the original film came to life before my very eyes. This role was originally played by Davey Chase in the original as well as the spin-off films and series, and Dakota Fanning in Lilo and Stitch 2: Stitch Has a Glitch. There's Sydney Elizabeth Ogadong as Lilo's older sister Nani, the Japanese word for what? Nani? Funny enough, the original voice of Nani, Tia Carrere, portrays a social worker who checks in with Nani, who struggles to look after Lilo after the death of their mother. This social worker takes the place of Cobra Bubbles in the original, but thankfully, Cobra Bubbles does appear in this film as a federal agent played by Courtney B. Vance. In the original, Cobra Bubbles is played by Luther Stickle himself, Ving Rhames. And also returning from the original is David, my personal favorite character for obvious reasons. Hint hint. As a kid, I was amazed to see an animated character who shared a name with me, and as an adult, I'm still amazed now. But the only difference between me and this David is that he does not have a wolf OC and therefore is not a wolf boy. The original voice of David, Jason Scott Lee, is featured in this film as a luau manager. Jumba and Pleakley return as computer-generated characters portrayed by Zach Galifianakis and Billy Magnuson respectively. And they use holograms to disguise themselves as humans, instead of having Pleakley cross-dress in the original. Pleakley cross-dressing is definitely the funniest thing about the original and the spin-offs, and I was disappointed that it was taken out of this movie. Same with sending Captain Gantu to the cutting room floor. I ask again, does this remake hold up to the original? Let's find out together as I give my thoughts on the live-action remake of Lilo and Stitch. The short answer is no, not really. This remake is next to nothing like the original. But I will give props to the girl who played Lilo. She has a bright future ahead of her. And it's always nice to hear Chris Sanders nail it as Stitch, or Experiment 626. Even if some of his dialogue is recycled from the 2002 original, which, if you have seen the original 2002 film 1,000 times, would be easy to notice. And this movie takes place in the 2020s, and not the early 2000s. There's smartphones, texting, TikTok, and there's a random needle drop of Uptown Funk, the same song that Sonic and Tails danced to as part of the dance battle in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And that song was released in 2014. While it was nice to see my childhood come to life before my very eyes, it comes at a cost. A cost involving changing the original source material by removing Captain Gantu, not giving Jumba a redemption arc, or having him attempt an impression of David Ogden Stiers, and a majority of the humor falling flat, whereas the original was heartfelt, hilarious, and dare I say, it gives you a bout of the feels. This remake had its moments of the feels, but it didn't quite leave as much of an impact on me as the original. I'm giving the live-action Lilo and Stitch a 7 out of 10. Is this my favorite live-action remake? No. But was it better than Snow White? Hard to say. Snow White had its moments, and so did Lilo and Stitch. But at this point, everyone can agree that no matter how much Disney wants to remake its animated classics into live action, the animated classics will always be superior. While it was nice to hear the classic Stitch voice after many years, and seeing Stitch come to life and cause mayhem, this movie didn't quite live up to my expectations. Then again, I wasn't expecting a shot-for-shot remake of the movie, nor should anyone, really. Every time a Disney remake is released, I'm reminded of my childhood and the movies I grew up with. I mean, don't get me wrong, I embrace the changes that come with these remakes, but when it completely alters the story and adds a bunch of unnecessary side characters who weren't in the original, it just doesn't work for me. Especially after 2019's Dumbo, which inserted a bunch of human characters who nobody gives a shit about. Is it as bad as 2019's The Lion King? No. Is it as bad as 2022's Pinocchio? No. Is it a decent movie that families can take their kids to after school? Yeah. It's not the best film of 2025, but it's not the worst either. It's a fun movie that did its job, entertained audiences, bring an iconic blue alien to life after Paramount did the same thing in 2020 after giving Sonic a facelift, and remind adults of the good old days of Disney. And now that Disney has remade a whole bunch of their animated classics into live action, it's now your move, DreamWorks! Stay tuned for my upcoming review of the live action remake of How to Train Your Dragon coming next month, where Sonic Dragon Girl 23 will review it alongside me after we tackle Snow White together earlier this month. Until then, I'll see you all next time!